Well, welcome back to the Schuessler Stewart House here in beautiful Madison, Indiana. You know, I always plug our city because it is really the most beautiful Midwest riverfront town that you can visit. So if you ever have a chance, make your way about an hour outside of Louisville, Kentucky to Madison, Indiana. So this is an exciting weekend here at the Schuessler Stewart home. It happens to be my sister-in-law's birthday and my mom's birthday. So every year, my husband and I have both sets of families over, and we have a cookout and we celebrate their birthdays. This will be probably about the 20th year I've made my mom's birthday cake. And this will be, I think, the third year that I've made my sister-in-law's birthday cake. I always want to make them special, so I reach out to them and ask what flavors they want. So when I reached out to my mother, she said, I want a key lime cake with a key lime buttercream. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know how to make a cake from scratch. Always use Pillsbury down flour. Always use Tillamook butter. And I want to plug this company because I started buying their eggs, and it's called Pete and Jerry's Organic Eggs. What I like about this is the chickens are free range. They're also organic, and this carton that they come in, I'm able to open, drill little holes in, put soil, and start seeds in it. I can also turn it over this way and it acts as a little greenhouse. But what's really fantastic about this is they're biodegradable. So after several years in the compost pile, they'll decompose. So shout out to Pete and Jerry's Organic Eggs. And they are, I'm not sure where they're located, but anyways, Pete and Jerry, great job. So I baked my mother's cakes last night, leveled them, set them to cool. I took the liberty to go ahead and make the icing. It is a key lime buttercream that I've already tinted to the desired color. And we're going to put this cake together. I'm gonna let it set, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of lace work around the outside of the cake. And then my sister-in-law's cakes are over here, and that's gonna be a separate video. So remember, if you like my videos and you like what I'm doing, hit the like button. Always reach out to me with suggestions too, because I'm willing to try anything in the kitchen. So the cakes for my sister-in-law are a caramel sponge cake with a caramel buttercream. It seems like it's overloaded with caramel, but I promise you it's not, and the end product is going to be beautiful. So we're gonna start with, as I shared with you before, a cake round. Now this one is a little bit more sturdy. This is gonna be a heavy cake here. This is a sturdy one, and I get mine from Amazon. So I go online and I order wedding cake sets. They're cheaper that way, and you're getting about, well, you're getting 2 sets in each package. So you could probably get them at your local hobby stores. They will run a little bit more money. And I want to say the set, 2 sets, and there's 3 to a set, ran about $10. So it's a good buy. These are food safe as well. That's the other reason why I always buy the foil cake rounds. So as you know, I talked to you the last time or in some of my previous episodes about having a sturdy turntable. So we're gonna start with this cake as the base, and I'm gonna unwrap the buttercream. Again, if you want the buttercream recipe, look at one of my first episodes, maybe the first or second episode, and it'll tell you how to make good old-fashioned American buttercream. So I'm gonna start with just a little bit on the cake round. And as you can see, I'm just spreading it out. Now the reason for this is if I put the cake on it, the cake might slide on this. If, however, I put that, it acts as a glue. So on the bottom of this cake is parchment paper. Instead of using grease and flour in the bottom of a pan, I cut a parchment circle to the size of the pan and put it in the bottom, and as you see, it peels off perfectly and you have no crumbling of your cake. Now this is going to be a big base to this cake, and just eye it to make sure that you have it pretty much centered. And I think that looks good. This is gonna be a tall cake too. I do not like when cakes are made and they look like you've only put 2 small pans together. This cake is going to be like an old-fashioned cake that is about 3 tiers to 4 tiers tall. I do think I am gonna level this. So as I shared on one of my previous episodes, this is a bread cutter that I picked up at an art festival, and the gentleman makes it out of reclaimed wood, and they're extremely sharp. So what we'll do is just start where the edge of the pan was, and I'll just start turning the turntable. Let the turntable do the work for you. Don't do the work for the turntable. And that way, once you've made it all the way around, it's easier to now start pushing in, and it'll cut a much more level piece. Now you'll see on some, if you watch other YouTube cake decorators, etc., they'll use a knife and they do a great job. I am not an expert at this. This is just a hobby of mine, and I find by trial and error I learn best, and this works really well for me. And as you'll see, there comes the top off, and we have a perfectly leveled cake. So now that we have that and it looks pretty level, we're just gonna take a little bit of icing, and this is not anything we have to be perfect with. I don't want a big space between the cakes, and the reason for that is the larger the space, the more of an indentation it might leave, and then your cake looks uneven around the sides. This smells so much of key lime. So let me tell you a little trick to the flavoring. So key lime is a great flavor, but you can use too much of it. So what I suggest when you're using key lime is get a fresh key lime, roll it on the counter to get as much juice out of it as you can get, and then toward the end, poke a hole in the side of it and squeeze all the juice out and use that to flavor your buttercream. They do sell extracts out there, but extracts are really hard to work with sometimes, especially key lime. It can be too strong. But the choice is purely up to you. So you can see that's now level. I'm going to unwrap. The other thing I wanted to mention was if you have baked and put them in your freezer, always make sure that you have taken them out at least 12 hours before you're going to use the cake. Because a cake in a freezer, or if you frost or decorate a frozen cake, air bubbles pop out of the side and you'll have a very unsightly cake, because you'll now start to see these air bubbles pushing the cake or the icing out. Okay, so as you can see, this looks pretty good, pretty level. I'm pretty proud of that. So we're gonna do the same thing, a little bit of icing, not a lot, remember, just a little between the layers. Now, sometimes I'll do curds or some type of filling or roasted hazelnuts or something like that between the layers. But this is a unique cake in itself, and key lime, I don't think there's anything else I would really want to mix with a key lime except maybe coconut, and not everybody likes coconut, so we're going to keep it simple. So here is the next tier, and I feel like when I leveled this, I didn't do a good job, so I may re-level this cake because I want it to set evenly. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to set this up here, and we are going to level this cake because I really needed something that is going to set level and not make the side uneven. Okay, so now I have cut this to level it. We'll take that off. It's a very moist cake. Lay those pieces there. What I'll do is probably make some type of tort with those pieces. This is why I said to get a good turntable, because you can take it off, wipe it, set it back down, And now here we go. So you can see those are really very, very level. This cake, we're now going to turn the side that I just cut off over, and it's going to go on the top of this. There is a reason for this, because you can pull this off parchment paper and you have a very well sealed base. So when you start to ice this, you won't have crumbs going everywhere. So I always use a really colorful work cloth. And the reason for that is when we use our other towels, they're usually a pretty design, or for instance, we have all our kitchen towels are Williams and Sonoma. There's nothing worse than staining those. So what I do is get something like this that's colorful and you never see the stains on it because it has too much pattern to it. So just a helpful hint. So now we have this ready and we are going to just start icing it or frosting it. I will suggest, now this is going to be a little different than I've done on some of the other cakes. It's going to look very uneven to start with. Just know that when it's done, it's not going to look that way. And the other thing is stand back and turn your cake table so you can see if it's all even. One of the things I like to do is also take an icing spatula and go ahead and even that off. So here we go. Don't care about how it looks. I'm just going to start putting icing on it, or frosting, whatever you call it. This shouldn't take long. And don't put a lot of time into this because you're going to smooth it. So it really doesn't matter what this is looking like right now. And I suggest starting at the base and just keep working your way up. People have a habit of angling in. Do not angle in. Try to keep it straight or angled toward the top because you're going to be working your way up and can put icing over the uneven areas. All right. And now I just move up to the next tier. Okay, so now we're getting to the top tier. And as I said, don't worry about it. Just put the icing on and just keep going. You want it to go higher than the top of the cake, so that's not an issue. And if there are any crumbles that get in the icing, you know, it's fine. You can pick them out if you want, or you can decorate over them. And usually no one notices unless they're a cake decorator or a controlling bride. No, I'm sorry. Or better yet, the bride's mother. You got to watch out for them. I used to do a lot of wedding cakes back when I was probably in my 20s and 30s. And I enjoy doing it. It's just a hobby. But I tell you what, sometimes when you get those mothers of the brides, they can be difficult to work with. So don't take on a cake unless you know who you're doing it for and it's a gift. Most of my cakes have always been gifts. So now I can go back to the base again and just start doing a little bit more. And you'll see why we do this in just a moment. This icing smells so good. I am telling you, that key lime. And always get key limes. Don't get limes. There's a difference. And key limes are really a yellowy color. They're not a deep green. That's a lime. And usually the key limes that I get never have seeds. All right, so now this is a cake spatula as well. It is a rectangular one, and there's different ways you can use this, but what you want to do is set it on the cake round, and this lets me know that I'm off in the middle. It's a good measure for you to use because it'll show if there's going to be any light going through. Then you know in the middle of the cake you didn't get your frosting thick enough. Okay. So here we go. I'm gonna set it up here. I'm gonna push it in, and then I'm gonna angle it back, and I'm gonna start rolling my turntable. Remember, let your turntable do the work. Okay. Now this is important after you've done that first round. I'm stepping out of the frame, you can't see me, but use hot water and clean it off. It'll help smooth this icing, and if you don't, it might pull off more icing as you go over the second time. So here we go. I'm angling, and I'm just gonna start turning again. All right, there we go. A beautifully smooth cake. Now that we're at this part, I have this water setting here. It's hot. And we want this top to be smooth as well. So I'm going to stick it in the center and just start turning this turntable to level it. Okay, so now take your small spatula, put it at the top. Don't go very far down, just on the edge, and just turn your turntable. And then where these edges stick up, it's very hard to see probably from that angle, and I apologize, but smooth it over. And in a minute, you'll see how we really finish smoothing it. Right now, all I'm trying to do is just pull it over. So you can see when you start this, you'll see where you need to fill in on the top. So I'm missing some here. I'm missing some over here. There. I've heated this with hot water because it makes it so much easier to roll around. I'm finding the center. I'm going to place it there. And I'm just going to start turning it again. So you can see how smooth it is. It could be smoother. But again, as I shared, this is a hobby for me. This is not my livelihood. And I just enjoy making cakes. And that's all that matters. Okay, I was going to do a stencil on the side of this cake, but I've decided I'm not going to do a stencil. I am going to do cake drip in gold around the edges of it, a border around the base, a border around the top, and then these are gum paste flowers. Now you can order these online. You can also make them. I do make them. However, I bought these. A shout out to a little shop in New Albany, Indiana. It's called Cake Lady's Dream Shop. And the lady that runs it is extremely knowledgeable. She can do transfers, rice paper printouts, anything you could want for cakes. But she also sells these. So I bought these. And I think I'm going to use these on the top of the cake and just keep this a little more simplistic. So this is called cake drip. You can get it at any hobby store that sells cake decorating supplies. Even the grocery store, for instance, Kroger's, I know they carry this. So the cake drip that I talked about is very easy to use. I've microwaved this for 30 seconds and then I've shaken it. And you want to make sure it's not too hot though. And then you want to pour out a little bit just to see that it's going to be okay. And this is what you want to do, is pour a little bit like this and just turn your turntable. When you get back to where you started, stop and just look to see if you like it. Now this will harden in place, so don't worry about what you see going down the sides that's thicker. And then if you don't like what you did, you can do a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to stop there with that. I'm going to let that set. Once that is hardened, we'll start the other decorations on the cake. So in the meantime, we'll set this aside. So now that we have that cooling, we're going to get creative here and put together a border. I'm going to use this green, and then I tinted some more buttercream to make it a kind of butter yellow color. So this is how we will get creative here. So I pulled the bag down as I've showed you in other videos, and we're going to take the yellow and start with it. And in this bag, leaving it open, slide in there and put the yellow and pull off to one side of the bag so it looks like that. You're just making a little flat area of it. And then we're going to continue to do that and pull the bag out even more. Now on the other side of the bag, we're going to put this green. So here I'm going to start green. And you can just push it down in there, pull the bag back. Okay, so now that I have the bag filled with the two colors, what I'm going to do is start pushing it down, and you can see, look at that divided line there, yellow, green. And just keep pushing it. When you get it down, twist that bag, and then pipe out a little. So at this point, you can pick your cake back up, and we'll do the base border of this cake. And as I've shared with you before, it's all in the wrist and the pressure you use. So, yeah, that's starting to set. I'll tell you what though, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that off. You always want to keep a little paper towel damp so you can clean your cake round and remove any of the icing or butter or grease that gets on it, depending on whether you use vegetable shortening or you use real butter. I never recommend using all real butter to make buttercream because the consistency is not the greatest and it doesn't set well. So here we go. We're going to do a shell border. And I know it's very hard for you all to see how I'm doing this. I do not have a really good setup for what I'm doing here. But maybe somewhere down the road, if I get a sponsor like Pillsbury or Tillamook or something like that, or even Kroger doing a test kitchen, maybe I'd have a lot more space to work with and different angles to record. Now, usually we have our own eggs from our chicken house, but our pullets are too young to start laying right now, so I've been having to buy eggs, and that's why I'm very grateful to be able to purchase these from Pete and Jerry's. And I know that I'm contributing to humanity because they free range their birds. All right, so as you can see, there's a bicolored border. And I'm gonna go ahead and do one on the top too. And I know this is a tall cake. And I'm just following the circumference of the top of the cake. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so there's the top border of the cake. And I went to Cake Lady's Dream Shop over in New Albany, Indiana, and purchased a bunch of different types of dragées or dragées, however you say it, and sprinkles, and mixed a color combination that I really wanted to use for this cake. And I'm just gonna sprinkle these on the top. And this is fun. My mom will love this. This is to look like a succulent. So we'll stick this right here in one side. So we'll put the second one on here as well. And then since I do have a small third one, I think to carry this theme, that looks so good. I think we'll put this one right here. So I think my mom will love this cake. I truly enjoyed making it. My parents are getting older and I value all the time that I have to spend with them. And I think this is just a small token of appreciation for a person who really gave me everything that I needed when I was growing up and instilled values in me. So we're going to do another cake in another episode, but I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have questions, let me know. Remember, hit the like button. And if you have other things you would like to see me make, please let me know. And above all, remember, love is love, embrace and celebrate diversity. Until next time,